Hi, it's Anne. I want to talk to you today about texting, something we're all very familiar with, but this is something specific to texting. And I think a lot of people have experienced this. So let me ask you, have you ever checked your phone, seen no message from someone that you care about, and suddenly felt your stomach drop because you've already texted them and you're waiting for them to text back? And then maybe you check again a few minutes later and still nothing. And before long, your mind starts asking questions like, well, wait a minute, did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Are they losing interest? And then the moment their name finally pops up on your phone, you feel your body instantly relax. Now, if you've ever experienced something like that, you're not dramatic, you're not a drama king or queen, and you're certainly not alone. Many, many, many people have experienced this. And this reaction is based on your attachment style. And by attachment style, I mean the way that you relate to others in your relationships. So a lot of people can feel kind of embarrassed about this. They think, well, maybe I shouldn't care this much. Why does this even affect me at all? Why can't I just relax? Why can't I just text somebody and not worry about how long it takes them and if they respond and all of that? But the truth is, the reaction isn't really about the phone. It's not about the text. It's actually about connection. So, as human beings, we are wired to pay attention to signals that tell us whether relationships are safe or whether they're stable. And when something feels uncertain, our brain kicks into action and it naturally starts trying to figure out what's going on. So, let me give you an example. Imagine that you send a message and it's a little bit on the vulnerable side. Maybe you asked someone how they felt about something, or maybe you just open up emotionally, all right? Maybe you even sent a message and immediately thought, oh my gosh, why did I say that? At first, everything feels okay, but then an hour goes by and no response. And now your brain starts filling in the blanks. Now you're getting really uneasy. Maybe they're busy, but then another thought shows up. And this usually they usually respond faster than this. What is going on? And then suddenly your mind starts replaying the message that you sent. Oh my gosh, was that too much? Did I sound needy? Should I have waited before sending that? And now something that started just as a simple message feels emotionally heavy. And if we get to the extreme side of it, starts ruining your day because it's taking up a lot of real estate in your thoughts. But what's actually happening in your brain? See, our brains are constantly scanning relationships for signals like, are we okay? Are they interested? Did something change? But when connection has felt uncertain or inconsistent in the past, your nervous system learns to pay much closer attention. And a lot of times we learn this stuff back in childhood. But when communication suddenly stops, even for a normal reason, like maybe someone's in a meeting, maybe they're with a client if they're at work, maybe their phone died. Whatever the reason is, could be perfectly normal. But when we're not hearing back, our brain goes into investigation mode, not because you're needy, but because your system is trying to protect connection. So let me give you another example. You might recognize something like this too. You send a message, then a few minutes later, you check your phone, nothing. 10 minutes later, you check again, still nothing. Now your brain starts building stories. They saw it and ignored it. Oh my gosh, maybe they're pulling away. Do they still like me? Maybe I came on too strong. But then suddenly the message comes in and then you feel it. Your whole body just relaxes and your shoulders drop, your breathing changes, your mind stops spinning, and nothing about your worth changed in that particular moment. The only thing that changed was certainty, and your need for certainty just got met. The nervous system received reassurance that the connection was still there. And there's a pattern behind this. when your emotional state rises and falls based on someone's responsiveness, what it points to is what's called an anxious attachment style. And what happens is your nervous system learns somewhere along the way that connection could feel uncertain. So now it tries to manage that uncertainty by watching very closely for signals. A lot of that we can maybe describe this being hyper vigilant, like and we're talking about texting, but in person, we're watching eyes, we're watching people's expression, micro expressions, we're watching everything. We're watching their smile. Did they breathe funny? Did they look somewhere else? I mean, we can really get into the weeds with, watching what's going on. So texting becomes an easy place for this pattern to show up because the communication is usually immediate. A lot of times when people are available, you text and they text you back, right? But when that communication pauses, your system starts asking, is this connection still safe? So here's the reframe that I want you to hear, okay? Feeling anxious when someone doesn't text back isn't a signal that you're too much. It's not a signal that you're needy, and it's not a signal that something's wrong with you. Please hear me on this. It's a sign that your nervous system is working hard to protect connection. And the challenge is that when we get our sense of safety by depending on someone else's response time, our emotional system or state can start to feel very fragile. And this is why it's really important to learn how to build our emotional safety internally versus externally. It becomes really crucial because otherwise we're always depending on something out there to soothe us and to keep us connected and to keep us from feeling anxious. And I think we all know that we can't get something from someone else all the time. That's not going to happen. So we have to learn how to do this internally. So one of the ways that we can do that is instead of asking ourselves, why haven't they responded yet? Try asking a different question. Try asking, what's my body trying to tell me? What am I feeling? Now, I know this can be uncomfortable, especially if we're used to, trying to push aside feelings or, numb them or whatever. And this is absolutely normal, but this is one of the ways that we're going to get to make the shift of learning how to soothe ourselves internally. So, for example, we want to just stay in our bodies for a minute. Is my stomach queasy? Maybe it's my chest. Is my chest vibrating? Kind of sit there for a minute, even though it's uncomfortable. It's okay and it's normal. And then we need to ask, well, what does my nervous system need right now to feel safe? And sometimes it's reassurance, right? We may just need to reassure ourselves. We need to question those stories that we were telling earlier, some of the ones that I mentioned. We need to question those stories. And sometimes it's about grounding, which is actually getting back into the present moment. And here's what happens. So our subconscious mind may be recalling something that happened long ago, and now not getting a text back right away has triggered, we hear the word triggered, right? It triggers an earlier memory, which we're not aware of, but it's triggering an earlier memory of where we were. Maybe we were left alone for a long period of time, or maybe one of our parents was inconsistent with connection because they worked a lot. But sometimes it's just reminding ourselves that the silence doesn't automatically mean that we were rejected, which is something we could have learned from things that happened to us earlier. So as we can start questioning things and calm our nervous system and reassure ourselves like, well, hey, maybe they are in a meeting, and it's okay. I don't have to hear back from them right away. And we can start calming ourselves, taking some deep breaths, getting ourselves out of that anxious emotional state. And then those small shifts can begin to calm that pattern. And we have to do that consistently over time. So if this is something that you recognize in yourself, if this is a pattern that you've seen, I just want to say again, I know I've said it already, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Your system's functioning as it's supposed to. Just maybe that some of the things need to be updated, right? Some of the ways that we've learned to do things, we just need a system update, just like we get system updates on our phones. And our nervous system simply learned to associate connection with uncertainty. So we need to learn how to kind of rewire that, so to speak. But here's the good news: attachment patterns can be changed. They absolutely can. And as your system begins to experience more consistent emotional safety through rewiring, through questioning stories, through calming your nervous system, the urge to monitor every signal will start to calm down. And inside my class, we go much deeper into these attachment patterns, how they form, and how to begin retraining your nervous system so relationships can actually feel calmer and more secure, which is the goal. Because connection was never meant to feel like something that we have to constantly monitor, that we have to constantly be hyper vigilant about. Connection's meant to feel safe. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, wow, this is me. How did you get in my brain? I just want you to know, again, that you're not alone in this. And if you'd like to go deeper into understanding, this pattern and how to actually shift it, I'd love to share more with you. And you can just comment or message me if that's something that you're interested in. All right, everybody, have a good day. Let me know if there's any other topics that you're interested in hearing about related to attachment styles.